Your profound and wondrous Dharma is rarely encountered even in 100 million kalpas. Having it to accept and maintain, may I taste the truth of the Tathagata's words.
Today, Cindy will be offering the talk.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cindy. I found my way to Stone Creek about 15 years ago and have learned and grown so much in that time. And want to say that also most mornings I wake up feeling like I'm beginning again. And I'm not sure if that's me or the practice, but I'm right there with it. This morning I'm sitting under the shadow of the unimaginable sorrow for the people of Ukraine. And I would like to dedicate my talk to them this morning. So, as I said in our ONGO meeting this past week, that the teachings of interdependence are so deeply fundamental to our practice that they can be looked at through myriad lenses. And so the words that I'm bringing to you today, my thoughts, are just one thread in what I see as an unending weaving of the teachings throughout our life. And before I start, I want to apologize for my voice, which can get very scratchy and uncooperative. So I just want to say that could happen. The talk I'm going to give today, I've titled "A Sense of the Whole." We turn things even while simultaneously we are being turned by them. And I first want to thank our teachers for asking me to be Shuso this year. They seem to have more confidence in me than I had in myself. But I am truly grateful for their support and for the opportunity to dig more deeply into my practice, into myself, and into understanding the true meaning of interdependence. And I want to say that I know I would not be where I am today if it weren't for the shared generosity of spirit, friendship, and love of our community. And I'm so grateful to be one with all of you. I don't believe in coincidence. We chose to work with Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings on inner being before his passing. Our decision seemed so right for this time of grief. We honor him and we honor the wisdom that he has given us. His insight of inner being is that nothing can exist by itself alone, that each thing exists only in relation to everything else. Last week, Jisho opened a broad and heartful framework for us to explore these teachings together. As she ended her talk, her question to us was, how do we live these teachings in the world? This morning, I want to try to begin that conversation. Often when we gather, we vow to save all beings. I am curious how each of us thinks of that commitment. I see how in today's destabilizing world, we all might want to turn away, fall inside ourselves to find peace. Thich Nhat Hanh's message is always to, yes, look inward into our own suffering, but then turn our faces outward to engage with the suffering of others. I've thought about what it means to sit in the Shuso seat and wondered what I can give to you from my experience. How a person who thinks mainly in images and feelings rather than words could undertake this offering. I've wondered where our time together would take us, and I've had a lot of doubt. But then at some point, I realized that each of you is a part of me, and I am a part of you. I am not alone sitting here. In some ways, we are all giving and receiving this talk, as we do every week. This sense of connection is the heart of our practice. I feel such sweetness in how Reb Anderson talks about these connections, that our own life is born and sustained by the kindness of all animate and inanimate beings throughout the universe, and that all beings are supported and sustained by our lives. This same sweetness is also reflected in a Rilke poem that Jisho brought to us in Forestville when I was very new to Stone Creek. It has lived in me for these many years and speaks to me of the breath of this wholehearted life. Ah, not to be cut off, not through the slightest partition, shut out from the law of the stars. The inner, what is it, if not intensified sky, hurled through with birds and deep with the winds of homecoming? Looking back into my life, I realized that seeds planted early have helped me open to these teachings today. I grew up with the ocean, among oak trees, and corn growing in our backyard wherever we lived, with stories of dinosaurs and the Gobi Desert, with a sense that the world was a much wider place than our small town. Ceci Meg asked us in her recent talk to imagine a place in nature and to feel into it rather than see it. I was immediately transformed to a long ago refuge, the furthest out boulder of the jetty in Corona del Mar, surrounded by water, carried by the rhythm of the waves. There was no thinking. I was one with the water. I wonder how words can ever be enough when so much that matters is beneath language. To truly know the Dharma, we need to feel beneath the words, into an inner understanding of the true nature of things. This is the experience of moving from our essence. Gary Snyder's poetics express the heart of inner being as all of existence, essence, action, absence. They roll being and non-being together. They are what we are what they are. Roots, stems, and branches are all equally scratchy. No hierarchy, no equality, no occult and exoteric. No gifted children and slow achievers, no wild and tame, not bound or free, not natural and artificial, each totally its own frail self. As I began to more widely explore these teachings of the interconnectedness of the heart of at the heart of our practice, I see that we are not alone. Many cultures share these understandings. For instance, this from Oglala Sioux Holy Man Black Elk. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw, for I was seeing in a sacred manner the shapes of all things in the spirit, and the shape of all shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw the sacred hoop of my people with one of the many hoops, was one of the many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight. And I saw that it was holy. Desmond Tutu, who recently passed, spoke of Ubuntu, the South African philosophy of interconnectedness. He called it the essence of being human. What you do affects the whole world. We are connected whether we agree with each other or not. We harm one, we harm the entire body. The fullness and beauty of these words wash over me. How is it that I can step into the stream of these essential teachings 1 minute and fall out the next? I have been thinking about Dogen's recent talk on finding that spacious, breath-filled place that lies in between our thoughts and our actions, that allows us to slow down and act with compassion. A still place of pure openness that lies outside duality. It feels not unlike the place I move from in my art making, a space between perception and consciousness, always complete emptiness, filled with all things. Some days the hardest part is remembering to take that breath. Every morning, my computer turns on to an exquisite photograph of a natural setting somewhere in the world. I'm sure yours does too. For me, it is always a moment of grace, a moment of connection, and a reminder that beauty exists everywhere. I can know that nothing exists by itself alone, that each thing exists only in relation to everything else. Yet when I look, I see myself learning, unlearning, and relearning, like the turning of a wheel moving slowly forward. I watch how easy it is for me to get caught in dualistic ideas, unending categories of separation. Our hearts, my heart, needs a reckoning with the divisions within ourselves, with each other, and with the world. Fortunately, because these teachings are so fundamental to our practice, and we are in community together here, we have the opportunity of unending exploration, conversation, understanding, and unity. In one of the obituaries for Thich Nhat Hanh, the LA Times reprinted something he wrote in 1991 after the beating of Rodney King. The moment I first saw it, I saw myself as the one who was beaten, and I suffered. We were all beaten at the same time, and we were all the victims of violence, of anger, of lack of understanding, of lack of respect for human dignity. But looking more deeply, I was able to see that the policemen who were beating Rodney King were also myself. Our society is filled with hatred and violence. Everything is like a bomb ready to explode, and we are part of the bomb. We are co-responsible for that bomb. In the practice of mindfulness, We nurture the ability to see deeply into the nature of things and of human beings. The fruit of practice is insight and understanding, and out of this comes love. I have not practiced deeply enough to transform the situation with the policeman. I have allowed violence and misunderstanding to exist, realizing that I suffer with them. For if they do not suffer, then why would they do what they did? If we are not mindful, if we do not transform our shared suffering through compassion and deep understanding, then one day our child will be the one who is beaten or the one doing the beating. It is our affair. We are not observers, we are participants. Every day I am reminded of the truth of his words. In the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Andy Lopez here in Santa Rosa, and so many whose names we know and names we'll never know. My heart is not yet open enough to truly forgive the men who beat Rodney King and changed the course of his life. To forgive men who murder people of color at will, or the judges and juries who for centuries have let them go free. To forgive the men who abuse or murder the women in their lives, or queer people or transgender people. And then this takes me to the suffering in my own family. A nephew who grew up troubled and caused great trouble and suffering to others in his short life. His memorial service was in a park in Nevada City. We all stood in a large circle with a beautiful altar in the center. Love was what everyone talked about, the love John gave them and how much he was loved. From a completely drugged out friend screaming his love and rage at John for leaving him, to the woman who was his longtime best friend, to the parents of the kids he grew up with. What everyone saw that day was not trouble, but John's heart. It was a stunning lesson for me about my judgments, about separating myself from others, about forgiveness. My heart was unexpectedly filled with peace and love. Seemingly irreconcilable contradictions that sit next to each other. How do we begin to understand each other's fears and hopes as well as our own? I am reminded we are inextricably interrelated. As the teachings of interconnection tell us over and over, our lives are like this because other lives are like that. This is my path. This is my challenge. I am who I am because of who came before me. I have an ancestor who was a brigadier general in the Revolutionary War, Anthony Wayne, sometimes referred to as Mad Anthony Wayne. By chance, I recently came across an article about the current scrutiny of the National Historic Markers scattered across the country, looking at how the history remembered on those markers is skewed towards celebrating the white expansionist view of manifest destiny. I learned that Anthony Wayne, besides being a famous general, was also known as, quote, a glorious Indian fighter. I am because he was. I have another relative, early 20th century naturalist photographer Ellie Merrill, who lived the last 30 years of his life in and around Sitka, Alaska, documenting the landscape, the people of Sitka, and the area Tlingit community. He also worked with Tlingit craftsmen to help preserve their totems. Whatever the complex relationship, I am also because he was. Our lives are like this because other lives were like that. No matter who we are, in this country, we are because of more than 400 years of the free labor of enslaved people brought here against our will, because of the confiscation of indigenous land and the killing of millions of indigenous people, because of the exploited labor of immigrants who came to this country seeking refuge, fleeing pogroms, famine, poverty, persecution, and war. How do I hold this? Where do each of us sit in this legacy? I know in my heart that change can only come through love. And yet some days I do resist looking for that love in myself. I must first face inward so I am less likely to turn away from others. To touch our deepest self, each of us needs to know our own stories if we can, and the stories of our particular culture. And from whatever our location, be able to reconcile what we find within ourselves. We can each ask, who am I in my practice, and how does that translate into who I am in the world? Everybody's journey will be different. This is the heart of the Buddha. Those of us who have the opportunity to study and practice the Dharma have a responsibility to look deeply at the wonders of life, the snowflakes, the moonlight, the beautiful flowers, and also the suffering, hunger, disease, torture, and oppression. I think about the many dynamics today that create fear and instability and keep us separated from each other, from our true nature. The otherizing of people who are different from ourselves or being otherized for that difference. The disregard for the consequences of our actions or being the recipient of that disregard. We are all of us consciously and unconsciously constricted by this. Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams is emphatic that no one who has ever touched liberation could possibly want anything other than liberation for everyone. She goes on to say, some of us don't see the path of the Buddha as social justice, but the path of the Buddha was explicitly rooted in decasting and declassing. The Buddha left us a 2,500-year-old institution that brings people in, regardless of color, class, and now gender. That was his teaching. Every single person has a right to be free. No one is free unless everyone is free. We have the opportunity in this moment to do our part to pass on what we learn to future generations so they can continue the work. And personally, I am so deeply grateful that as a Sangha, all of us have each other together as we make this journey. There is no way to enlightenment. Enlightenment is the way. There is no way to liberation. Liberation is the way. And I'll end with the words of Terry Tempest Williams. Once upon a time when women were birds, there was the simple understanding that to sing at dawn and to sing at dusk was to heal the world through joy. the birds still remember what we have forgotten, that the world is meant to be celebrated. May we all begin to remember. Thank you. I'm happy for comments.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Roberta.
Hey, that was lovely and reassuring in the midst of this horror that we are now facing and the people of Ukraine. Thank you so much for reminding me of the celebration of our lives, that this is meaningful where we are, that we have a chance to actually participate in beauty, walk in beauty, as the Navajo talks about. I wanted to say and share something. I have started a peace presence that will begin Friday, this next week, March 4th, at Bodega and Main Street from 5 to 6, as we did with Black Lives Matters. I just want people to come from Stone Creek and stand with me and others, neighbors, to just stand for peace and for the people of Ukraine and from freedom from suffering. Indeed, I hope people will show up, bring a sign, and it's just 5 to 6. It's a way to embody our conscious relationship to being at peace and with peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Peggy.
Thank you for the talk. I was thinking, you know, how we're all, I couldn't imagine a Stone Creek Sangha without you. It just, I don't even know how to describe it. And I'm really grateful that you're part of it. You bring a lot. And I was moved by your talk. It's helpful. It's helpful to keep reminding us to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. I think that's what's so uniquely, I don't know, I haven't been in other sanghas, but feels uniquely special and surprising that there's so much love in our sangha, and we learn so much from each other. I mean, as I said, I would not be sitting here without you.
Cindy,
And they,
thank you for your talk. I think what's difficult for me is that, for instance, thinking about people in Ukraine, I need to feel sort of celebrating life here in order to be able to send something to them. And that's difficult to want to turn to suffering, and at the same time, we need to take care of ourselves so that we are happy, right?
yes.
You reminded us of that, and I think it's very important. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been thinking about that too, that I think that's how things are written often. I think I go, but yeah, but what about someone who doesn't have choice, or someone who doesn't have the opportunity and is sitting in the middle of, for instance, what's happening in Ukraine. And I woke up this morning thinking, where is Avalokiteshvara? We need yeah, we need to hold the love in our lives, and that it can be large enough that we extend it outward, I guess is what I want to say. That it's not, we don't just hold it for ourselves.
Cindy, thank you. Thank you for your talk.
Thank you, Jude.
Like Peggy, I can't imagine anything we do or are without you. And your talk really brought home a truth that I know, but I need to be reminded over and over and over again, which is, as Sangha, we're embodied rememberment for each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're embodied reminders for each other. When we feel alone or isolated, we forget, we turn away. It's not because we're bad people or evil. We mean to remember and be reminded, and that's what I'm feeling like is the primary function of Sangha.
Mm-hmm.
So we're so fortunate, the Sangha that has grown up around Stone Creek, shaped by the love of the teachers and the wisdom of the teachers, and all of us feeding at that trough.
Yeah.
Anyway, you spoke beautifully. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think it's one of the hardships of the separation of, and isolation of this COVID time, that we don't have that weekly or more often interconnection in person with each other, and how important it is. And I guess I think in working with this talk, I just kept coming back to how much I love the Sangha in this way that you're talking. And we are incredibly blessed to have the teachers that we have, and the Sangha that we have. And we work with each other even when we disagree on things, or, I think it's a gift.
Yes, Cindy, thank you so much for that talk. I feel the same way that others feel. That talk was so powerful. I need to listen to it again and just really soak in your words and the poetry that you shared. And regarding Sangha and interconnectedness, even though we don't meet regularly, I feel very connected, especially to the morning group, the 7 a.m. group.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't think I'd be able to show up. In fact, I'm only able to meditate when I'm with other people. So Saturday is my day off. So that's really an example of interconnected, where other people don't even know that their presence really matters.
Yeah.
And really counts. And every single one of all of you count a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So again, thank you so much for your talk. It was really powerful. I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Cindy, thank you. Your talk was just beautiful, really. And I see you as an embodiment of that love that you're talking about, the interconnecting love of the Sangha, just the way you help weave us together as a weaver. I really appreciated the quote you brought in from Thich Nhat Hanh. And my wife and I were talking this morning in bed about some experiences she and I have had recently, and just feeling how important it is not to think our happiness is something other than holding people and ourselves in our suffering. That sometimes just showing up for someone to witness, and in this case, witness is participating, and letting them know that someone cares and someone is connected to them, can be hugely healing for all beings. So thank you for bringing that out in so many ways, not just in this talk, but particularly in this talk today. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Cindy, thank you so much for the beautiful talk. In the beginning, I think you said said that the phrase about, the chant of freeing all beings, and how do we sit with that. And I know many years ago, that phrase, that idea that we chant was just sort of just beyond anything I could relate to. I just thought it was a kind of, I don't know, wishful thinking, very abstract. And then one day when I was sitting, I think it was in Forestville, it struck me that it was about, that I could relate to it through understanding that it was freeing all beings within myself. Mm-hmm. And I could see, I don't know what was going on at the time, but I think in particular, there were beings of greed and beings of jealousy and being all kinds of things going on that I could identify within myself as beings that were part of me. And that whole idea has just continues to grow and expand to the beings, to the limitations of our story, and then to noticing other stories and other beings outside of myself, and it's something over time that I don't feel a separation from others and myself, but it started with that recognizing all the beings inside myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this concept of how integral we are in each other's lives, even though we don't know it, is really powerful. And it's helping me think in different ways about isolation and disagreement and all of that kind of thing.
Thank you so much.
Cindy, I don't know. I know for myself, it's hard to monitor the chat when I'm giving a talk. So I just want to let you know, there's a request there about posting the poems you read, or maybe we could, if you want to, we could put them in an email or something, or somehow make them available. And I wondered also if you would mind, can you read the one from Rilke at the beginning of your talk again?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Um, it starts, not to be cut off, not through the slightest partition, shut out from the law of the stars. The inner, what is it, if not intensified sky, hurled through with birds and deep with the winds of homecoming?
Thank you.
Thank you to Jisho for bringing it to me. Other people may have known it already. I didn't. But yes, I don't know how to put them in the chat, but I can definitely email them.
Cindy,
Cindy, your talk felt to me like a mala, like a whole circuit, a ring of beads. And I went from one bead to the next, and they were all connected, and each was a little different, and they were all together. And the Rilke came because my attention was drawn back to Rilke when Joanna Macy, our great Buddhist teacher, translated some Rilke. So this is our circle continues on. We've just brought Joanna Macy into great teacher of interdependence.
How perfect. How perfect is that?
Cindy, thank you so much for your talk. And I so much appreciate all of the wisdom in it. And you made it so visual and touchable for me. And it was so clear and it flowed so well. And I thought, well, that's the artist, in you. And I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna.
Cindy, two themes that are coming up to me as I think about how I'm feeling, having listened to this, are on one hand, great love, the theme of great love pervading it all, and also a fearlessness to embrace complexity. That there's an openness, just even in the story of your two ancestors, as well as the Thich Nhat Hanh reference, and that somehow love itself is, I think, an opening and embracing of this full, complex blooming of life. And thank you for sharing that so deeply with us.
Thank you. I have to say that the evolution of the talk had moved as I dropped deeper into what we were reading and thinking about. And I also got some great editing advice. So, but yeah, I think that what's happening for me is being in this position has shifted something inside myself in terms of my relationship to myself and the wider practice, and what the practice really means to me, maybe in a way that sometimes I can skate across the top of things, and I feel like I've dropped down into a different place. Oh, thank you. Should we close?
Does that feel complete?
All right. The vows are in the chat. For great Bodhisattva vow, names are numberless,
I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are infinite. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is boundless. I vow to realize it.